Hello, I'm taking on a challenge to beat every playable Nintendo published game. Welcome to the next episode. The next game is Game & Watch Tropical Fish. Tropical Fish was the fourth game released in the new widescreen series. It's been a few years since we've seen the new widescreen series, but for whatever reason it's back with an all-new title. This is the very last Game & Watch game to have a reference in Smash Bros, and this time it's Mr. Game & Watch's neutral air attack from Brawl onwards. As always, this game features two game modes, and I started with Game Mode A. In this one, you play as a man who owns a bunch of crazy fish that constantly jump out of their tanks. I have no idea why the fish are so jumpy, as the manual simply describes them as energetic tropical fish. The man also owns a cat, who we can see eyeballing the whole situation, hoping for an unfortunate fish to drop and become his dinner. To prevent this, you must move from left to right with a fishbowl to catch each fish between jumps. Doing this enough will cause the fish to land safely in another tank on the other side of the room. Man, these fish could not be worth the trouble. How does this man have time for anything else in his life if his fish are this jumpy and require constant attention? If you accidentally let a fish drop, the cat takes full opportunity of the situation and runs off with the fish. While we don't see the cat commit the act, we do see the remains of the fish get tossed onto the screen. Rest in peace, little guy. After this, your misses are represented by the cat's gleeful face in the top left corner. I know there's a lot of things wrong with this situation, but at least the danger would go way down if he just locked the cat away in another room or something. You might have noticed this one is actually really similar to Game & Watch Fire, despite the theme being completely different. The core concept here is almost identical to Fire, although this one doesn't feature different heights for each jump, so the order you need to catch the fish in is consistent while the fish move from side to side. Another change is that you have to move around 4 positions instead of just 3, and this causes a lot more problems than you might expect. When the game is moving slow enough, moving all the way from one side to the other to catch a fish was relatively easy, but as the game got faster, this maneuver felt impossible at times. I lost a lot of close runs this way, and man, it was painful every single time. Thankfully, similar to the remake of Game & Watch Fire, you do gain points with each fish you catch, and since there are so many fish, this one moves at a relatively fast pace, which I consider to be a good thing when it comes to Game & Watch games. Once again, my goal was to reach 300 points and see the lives refresh. Unfortunately for me, this turned out to be way more difficult than I anticipated, and to this date, this is the Game & Watch game that took me the longest to beat. On my very first run, things seemed to be going well at first, but I lost my first life to one of those wide maneuvers at 85 points. As a reminder, the way these games work is that they constantly speed up while you play it, and they peak as you approach each increment of 100. After you reach that increment, they'll shift back down to a slower speed and start speeding up again. As a result, it's usually during these 80 to 100 sections where I end up losing most of my lives, because that's where it's at its fastest. I stupidly lost my second life by forgetting the order and assuming I had made one jump when I didn't at all. I lost my last life at 193, where things got extremely hectic and I completely failed at one of those wide maneuvers again. Losing everything this early on isn't really a good sign. Man, I don't know if there's something I was missing about this one, but I never got consistent at moving fast enough when the fish were at opposite ends. Since the order the fish jump is random, it largely felt like it came down to luck as to whether or not I would have a good run, depending on how many of these tough situations they threw at me. Finally, after 40 minutes of failing, I had a pretty good run going. I had gotten to 200 points with only one life lost. I ended up losing my second life at 282 points, but man, I was so close. Things got super hectic, but I managed to pull it off and finally reached 300 points. Phew, finally time for Game Mode B. In this mode, the fish will randomly change direction when they jump, and fish come out of both the left and the right tanks this time. Basically, instead of trying to move the fish from the right to the left, they just move all over the place and stay in the middle for longer. While it does result in a bit of a different feel, I didn't find this one to be particularly harder than Game Mode A. The tricky maneuvers are still present though, so it's not like this one was completely free either. My first run actually went pretty well, but I lost my last life at 253 points. No first try clear for me. This one ended up taking me a while too, and after another 45 minutes, I finally cleared this mode as well. It was another game with only one life remaining, and it had some close calls near the end too. With that, Game & Watch Tropical Fish was complete. On to the review. Overall, I thought this one was pretty standard fare for a Game & Watch game. While those tricky maneuvers did feel a bit too impossible at times, I won't rule out the possibility that maybe there was something I'm missing, or that it might have felt more smooth on an original machine. This one was a lot faster paced than Fire, which I appreciated, but once again, it gets repetitive pretty quickly. I gave the game a 6 out of 10. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to see more of these in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you won't miss out on the next one. Also leave a like if you enjoyed it, since it will help the channel grow and motivate me to continue this series. I hope I will see you in the next step of my quest to beat every Nintendo game.